In the last module, we have talked a little bit about the inversion of control and dependency injection. Now let's implement this inside our fresh MVVM application. So here first of all, I'm going to add a new folder and name it interfaces. Then in this interfaces folder, let's add an interface and name it iREST-Service. In this iREST-Service, we need to add some methods without any body. So let me tell you, when we add some methods in the interfaces, then we need to add the body of those methods where we will implement this interface. So in short, what I'm trying to say is, we will define our methods in this iREST-Service interface, and then we will add the body of those methods in the REST service class. Let me go to the REST services class, and there we have added these methods. The one is get categories, the second is the get codes, and the last is used to post the codes. For a moment, let's comment this code. Then let's jump back to the iREST-Service interface, and there let's add three functions for get categories, get codes, and post code. But remember, we will not add the body of this function inside the interfaces. In the REST services class, we have already done the functions, and we have also provided some decent names and the return types to these functions as well. So let me copy the get category function name with their return type and paste it here in the iREST service interface. Similarly, let's copy the get codes function with its name and the return type and paste it in the iREST service. And finally, let's copy this post code function name and the return type and paste it in the iREST service interface. Now we have done all the things in the interface, and now we're going to implement this interface in the REST services class. In the REST services class, let's implement this iREST service interface, and we need to import this namespace because iREST service is present in some other folder. Now you'll see some kind of error, and that's because we have three methods inside our interface, and we need to add the body of these methods inside our REST services class. So let's use the Wheel Studio IntelliSense feature and let's add these methods. Alright, now in these methods, we will write the body, but we have already done this method body, and the naming of these functions are also the same. So let's uncomment this code. And right after that, let's remove these methods. So far we have just created an interface and implemented that interface in the REST services class. Now we're going to use the inversion of control and dependency injection. Well, at the time of recording this video, Xamarin Forms don't have any inversion of control and dependency injection. But you know what? We're using the fresh MVVM. And the cool thing about this fresh MVVM is that it comes with a built-in inversion of control container, and we can use the dependency injection as well. So let me switch to the category page model class, and there we don't need to create the instance of this REST services class. Instead, we will call the get categories method with some other way. So let me add a field of type iREST-Service and name it _REST-Service. Then in the constructor, I'm going to use a constructor injection, and for that, let's add a parameter of type iREST-Service and name it REST-Service. Now let's assign this REST service to this _REST-Service. So this is the constructor injection, and we are injecting the dependencies via constructor. Now we don't need this REST services object, so let's remove it. And in order to call this get categories method, let's use this _REST service field. And you can see that we have not created any instance of REST services class here, because it's not the responsibility of category page model to create an instance of REST services class, because this will violate the object-oriented programming rule of single responsibility of a class, and dependency injection will solve this problem. And instead of creating the REST services object here, someone else will do it and pass to whoever asked for it. Then category page model don't create any instance of REST services class. It will ask for it and get it via constructor. Now the question is, who is responsible to create an instance of REST services class and pass it to the constructor of this category page model via constructor injection? Well, for this purpose, we will need an IOC or inversion of control container. Now we need to add the inversion of control container because it's the responsibility of IOC container whenever you need an instance of REST service class. Now the question is, where we are going to add the IOC container? Well, we will do this in appxaml.cs file. So let me go to the appxaml.cs file, and there in the constructor we will add the IOC container. Also, just make sure to add the IOC container before your application main page registration, otherwise you will get an error. Okay, well, fresh MVVM comes with the built-in IOC container, so let's add this fresh IOC class, and with that let's pick this container property, and along with this container property let's use the register method. Now let's pass the interface, that is REST service, and let's pass the class which we want to map with this REST service, and that class will be REST services. And this line means that whenever we run this application, the call goes to this IOC container, and this will map the REST services with the REST services class and will create an instance of REST services class. Now we have done everything, so let's run this application, and here we go. Soon we will get the categories, and here you can see that we will get all the categories in this list view, and this time we have retrieved the data from the web API via dependency injection and inversion of control pattern. Now throughout this course we will use the dependency injection and inversion of control. If you have any query, feel free to ask me. Alright, I will see you in the next module.